No, he didn't ask you if he wants to be a Nazir.
I said, why would I want a Nazir? I didn't say what I want to be.
Yeah.
Whoever took a bagel, please put it back. Bagels are not yet.
You know what? For now, I'll take. I didn't bring this way I'll have.
Last one. Come on.
I'm going to start. Gentlemen, please, coffee, tea is welcome, ruggle is welcome, but let's save the real Suda for when we finish. Okay? I'm going to start with the learning sponsors. A year of learning, Isaac and Evelyn Blachor in memory of his sister, Chaya Rachel Bas Isser. Friends of Leonie Meisem and Leah Sabra Bas Chanuk Zunder. Friends of Melaskotsky, Moshe Zelig Ben Mordechai. We have 2 months of learning by the Friends of Milton Meller in honor of his second bar mitzvah. A month of learning by Mindel and David Sheslow in memory of her father, Nehemiah Ben Mordechai Yonah Halevi, and we wish her a refuah shlema. Aaron and Mel Haller in memory of her mother, Malka Rachel Bas Yehuda Leib. Yossi Goldstein in memory of his father, Moshe Tzvi Ben Dov. Isaac and Eda Novik in memory of his mother, Miriam Gittel Bas Chanoch Henek. Perry and Jill Meltzer in memory of his mother, Malka Bas Baruch, and his sister Golda Leah Bas David Halevi. Tova and Leo Zimmer in memory of her mother, Henya Bas Reb Beryl, and her father, Aaron Ben Yosef Mordechai. B. Pizer in memory of her husband, Arav Yisrael Chaim Ben David. Stanley Presser in memory of his mother, Leah Bas Yehuda, his mother-in-law, Golda Bas Leber, his wife, Ruchel Mincha Bas Moshe. A week of learning by Oscar and Shelley Moll in memory of his father, Shlomo Ben Yitzchak, and his mother, Rachel Bas Naftali. Judith and Michael Peretsky in memory of her father, Yaakov Yitzchak Ben Hirsch Feivel. Beverly Hirschko in memory of her father, Yisrael Ben Chaim Tzvi. Marty and Judy Engel in memory of his mother at the Sarah Bas Ephraim Fishel Halevi. Today is the 24th, right, of January. We have a day of learning by Sabina and Isaac Iram in memory of her mother, Chaya Rosa Bas Yeshuahu, and her father, Yitzchak Nelson Ben Yehoshua. And today is also the Shloshim for Steve's father. His name? Label Ben
Israel.
Label Ben Yisrael Halevi. Okay. All right. Okay. We finished up on Sadi Amud Beis towards the bottom. There was a new discussion among Rav Papa Badiklan Rava, that Rava gave us a test. Isha Eshet Kohen Shene'ansa, in regards to the wife of a Kohen who was raped. Yesh la k'tuba or ein la k'tuba was the question. Does she receive her k'tuba or not? Kivan da ones legabe Kohen, since we're comparing it to a situation of onus, okay, of against her will, okay, vis-a-vis Kohen, kiratzon legabe Yisrael dami. Do we say then that that would be parallel to a situation where the wife of an Israelite willingly has relations? Okay, ein la ketubah, and therefore in those situations, that would imply that she would not get the ksuba. O dilma, or perhaps, okay, matse amre la ana ha-chazina. Okay, so in other words, normally we would say that if whether the Kohen must divorce her, and she would receive no ksuba. Amrale, but she could say to him, Ana ha-chazina, v'gavrahu d'nischaf chasadehu. Right. In other words, she says, what I can see and share with you is the fact that it's too bad for you. Your field is flooded, basically. In other words, it's too bad. It's not my problem. It's your problem. Okay. And that's where we ended yesterday. So we pick up on Sadi Aleph, Amud Aleph today. Okay. And we proceed. Okay. So what happens? Rav Papa is now coming back and giving an answer to Rav. And he says to him as follows, Va'amrinanle. But we can say to him the following, Masnisinhi, that's our Mishnah, gives an answer. Our Mishnah said, Ha'omeret tmeya ani lach, when the wife might say to her husband, I am tmeya, I am impure to you, implying that she was raped. Okay. Yesh la ketubah. According to our Mishnah, she should receive her ksuba. And were it to be a Kohen, not only again would he divorce her, but he would have to pay the money as well. Okay? But my yaskina, what are we dealing with here? Okay. I'm just trying to look at my extra note here. Okay, because again, remember, we're saying that were it to be so, the implication that we're going to get to in a moment. All right? Ilema be'eshet Yisrael. If we were going to say that when our Mishnah initially made this statement that the woman claims rape and therefore, she should get her ketubah, okay? What are we talking about?
She's married to.
Yeah, we'll get to it in a second. What are we talking about? Are we talking about a situation that she's married to an Israelite? Is that what we're talking about? Ibaratzon, we're saying if she had submitted willingly to the situation, klum yesh la ketubah. Is there any reason that she should even be receiving a ksuba? Okay. After all, that does not make her prohibited to the husband. Okay. To the willingly it would, but if it willingly it would, but if it were not willingly, she would not be prohibited to the husband, and he could continue to be with her. Okay. All right. So the Gemara there comes back then. So that's willing. Ve'i ba'ones, and if it were a situation that it was against her will, mi ka mitzra al gavra, would we consider her prohibited to her man, to her husband? Okay, the implication being, okay, in that situation, no, he would not have to divorce her, and he could continue to be married to her. Okay. So therefore, says our Gemara, okay, the implication has to be our implicit deduction, therefore is ve'ela be'eshet kohen. So we must be talking then with a situation that the woman is the wife of a kohen. Okay, ibaratzon, and if it was done willingly, if she participated willingly, klum yesh la ksuba, clearly she has no right to claim that she should have the ksuba. She shouldn't receive it. Okay. This is that part. That's part of the underlying concern, right? Could she be lying, right? So the Gemara therefore asks, "Migar'a me'eshet Yisrael beratzon." Is she to be held any less responsible than the wife of an Israelite who participated willingly? Okay, that's the question. Okay, Elalav, but rather no, says the Gemara. Ba'ones, we're talking about a situation where it was against her will, right? Ukatani yesh lak tuba, and it says specifically in our Mishnah that she does receive, okay, the ksuba. Okay, so the Gemara goes on and raises the following element to try to clarify. Remember, we haven't totally clarified because even though this is what the Mishnah said, okay, it's still a problem. Okay, so what happens? Ibaylah. So now they asked a question about this in the base medrash. Amra leba'ala. What about a situation where the woman says to her husband, okay, girashtani, you've divorced me, okay? However, okay, she does not have the document of the get as clear proof that she has, okay, that has taken a place.
This is in a bed.
Okay, and so it could be in front of the Beis Din. Mahu, what's the situation then? Amar Rav Hamnuna. Rav Hamnuna says to us as follows: Tashma, listen to the following. Let's try to see if we have an answer to this item from the past Mishnah that we've looked at. Okay. Remember, our concern was that the Mishnah there said at first, if the woman said A, B, C, okay, the question is she's going to be believed. Okay, but then the revision, I don't want to say revision, but the Seifa of the Mishnah went ahead and said, wait a second. Okay, in this situation, she has to bring some sort of proof. Okay, so what happens? So now we get to the following. Tashma, what about the following Braita, says the Gemara. Ha'omeret, what about when the woman says as follows? Tmeya ani lach. Okay, she says that to her husband. Okay, notice the same language that we had just before. I am, okay, tmeya for you, I'm impure for you. Da'afilu the Mishnah Achrona, that even according to the Seifa, the later language in our Mishnah, right? Dekatane lo mehemne, where it's taught that she's not believed. We said unless she has some sort of proof, remember that, right? Hatam huda mishakra, says the Gemara. There, in that later or Seifa version of our Mishnah, that's because she was lying. Diyada ba'ala lo yadaba. Why? Because she knows that her husband would not be aware. He wouldn't know the situation, okay, of what actually occurred. Okay. Aval gabe girashtani. But in regards to a situation, if she claims you divorced me, but I don't have the ketubah document, diadaba mehimna, where in that situation she is to be believed. Why? Right? Says around de chazaka ein isha me'iza paneha b'fnei ba'ala, because we have a chazaka, we have a strong presumption, good, okay, a strong presumption that a woman is not brazenly enough to lie directly in front of her husband, okay, particularly if this situation is done in front of a Beis Din. Alan. Well, that's what the Gemara is going to get to. Exactly. That's what the Gemara is going to say. Baruch shekevanta. Okay, so what happens? Okay, says the Gemara. Amar le Rava. Okay, so we have supposedly this chazaka that she's not going to be that chutzpahdik to lie in front of the Beis Din with her husband, etc. Okay, present. Amarle Rabba. So Rav Papa now still continues to say to Rabba, Ad Rabba, hold on just a second. Could be the very opposite. Okay. Afilu the Mishnah Rishona, even according to the Resha, the earlier part of our Mishnah, the Katani Mehemna, where there was taught she is believed. Why? Because our Mishnah said at the beginning, she makes her statement and they give her the ksuba, which implies that they believe her, the Beis Din. Okay, why else would they agree that he has to pay her the ksuba? Okay. Hatam, there in that case, Mishum Delo Aveda Lebezuye Nafsha. Okay, why do we say one might argue that she's believed? Because she does not want to do or say something that's going to totally embarrass her or totally render her status so degrading. Okay, so rather she doesn't want to say it out loud in front of the Beis Din. So the Beis Din, okay, it wants to be sympathetic. Thank you. Okay, sympathetic to her situation, and they're going to believe her. Okay, aval hacha. But here, what are we saying here? For example, in the situation of Gerash Tani, in the situation where she comes and says, "You divorced me," de zimnin de takif la min gavra, that there are times when she is, I want to say, stronger, more powerful, more brazen, more controlling. I won't go on to that additional.
Why are you talking about that?
It never happens in marriage. It never happens.
Okay. Another time I'll tell a story. Okay.
You always have these another time.
We're gonna have
Listen.
to have an afternoon.
Ma'iza uma'iza. Okay, what are we talking there? That in that case, she is very daring. She has no embarrassment, and then she is very daring, right?
Can't believe her.
So you can't believe her in that situation. Okay, maybe she's claiming the divorce, that divorce doesn't have the document because she just wants to get out of the marriage. Okay, what happens now? My tiv Rav Misharshia. Rav Misharshia wants to challenge this second position of Rav Papa, okay, with a bright. What about in our Mishnah? Okay, one of the statements that the woman made in the Resha of the Mishnah was Hashamayim beini leveinei. Okay, that heaven was between you and me. In other words, the claim that he was impotent. Okay, the Mishnah Rishona, that in the example of the Resha, the beginning part of our Mishnah, Tiyuvta de Rabbah. This would seem to be a proof text against Rabbah. Okay, all right, because why? All right, we said what kind of proof could be brought in that situation. All right, all right. Hacha delete la kisufa. Here in that case, okay, she does not have any embarrassment. Okay, ukatani de mehimna, and our Mishnah taught in the Resha of that Mishnah that when she claims that she has, since she has no embarrassment, okay, it's no reflection of her, and therefore she can say this is the reason, and as a result, she is believed. Okay, why? All right, is the question we might ask. Kasava Rabba, because it may be that Rava is going to think in have the following perspective. Right, okay, that Rava could have come back with an answer. Notice, by the way, the Gemara doesn't say Amar Lach Rava, where he clearly, okay, which would clearly tell us in the Lashon of the Gemara that that's a response. but the Gemara is surmising that this is what he could have been thinking as a possible situation. Hatam kevan delo sage la delo amra ein yorei kachetz. Okay, there it's possible that she just does not feel competent. I'm going to use that word in a moment. Okay, in other words, for her to claim that he doesn't shoot straight. Okay, all right, that would be his arrow doesn't shoot straight. Okay, all right, okay, is that ilo ita kita amra? Okay, ilo ita tika amra.
How would anybody know that?
Okay, well, the point is, that's what the Gemara is going to try. That's the question of what Rava could argue. Okay? Ilo ita kada amra. If she doesn't come, and since she can't say it, okay, because it's based on any, all right, she would, it's not embarrassing to her. Okay? Lo amrale. Okay? Right? She does not say it to him. Hashamayim beini leveini, but in that same situation, okay, with that claim, the Mishnah Achrona, but if we take the Sefer of our Mishnah, okay, where we said there has to be some question of proof, okay, tiyufta the Rav Himnuna, that would be a proof text against Rav Himnuna, perhaps. Why? Vaha hacha, because in this situation, what might we say? Okay, right, hold on a second. Okay, vaha hacha, why? Because we might argue here, okay, diyad ahi, okay, that she would know, okay, and the question is whether or not she's going to be believed. Uba'ala yadaba, and the husband also would ought to know. Ought to, I use the word no. Ukatani de lo mehimna. And our Mishnah said in that situation, okay, she's not going to be believed unless she has proof. Okay? Kasava Rav Hamnuna. However, Rav Himnuna might be of the following perspective and argue this way. Hachanami hi gufa amra. Here, okay, we're talking about in that case of perhaps impotence. Okay, here she might say it's her body, in a sense, she knows what's going on in that situation. Nehi the babiya yada. Okay, and it may very well be that the husband is aware that they had relations. Biyora kachetz miyada. But in regards to his shooting straight, so to speak, who's to say that he knows for sure that he is successful in that situation? Okay. Umishum hachi mishkakra. And in that situation, it's possible that she still could be lying. And that's why in the Sefer of the Mishnah, we put that into the category that we say she does need some sort of further proof. Okay? All right. Now, as we continue, we're going to finish Tzadi Aleph and go straight through Tzadi Bet. I want to make the following suggestion. Okay? We have seen a number of Mishnayot that dealt with the fact that, and I've commented this in the regular shiur, that in the Ravina and Rav Ashi's progression of editing the Gemara, they set up certain. Remember, originally the text of the Gemara was all the Mishnayot first, and then all the Gemara, and only later was it divided into Mishnah Gemara, Mishnah Gemara, Mishnah Gemara. Okay, but in doing so, we saw a number of Mishnayot that presented to us the fact that part of the vow dealt with being a Nazir or a Nazareth. And we know that the next, for our cycle, the next Gemara that we're going to do is Nazir. So I asked myself the question, as we now continue the rest of this Amud and on to the next Amud, why these particular kinds of scenarios are brought. Okay, and the only answer I could come up with, unless somebody has a better one, is that what is going to be the next Masechet that we do after Nazir? Sota. And what does Sota deal with? Jealousy, particularly with adultery. Okay, and so I'm using that just as a suggestion that as we now go towards the end of the Masechet, okay, we see that this was a very clear, what I'm suggesting is that Ravina and Ravashi had a very clear mindset, okay, as to how to fashion the flow of the Gemara, okay, and as to what follows. And we'll see a number of stories and a number of situations that we may say raise that point. Michael, you have a...
Just a more simple, to link it more directly back to our Mishnah.
Yeah.
We concluded that the Chachamim initially had a machlokes when a woman makes a statement relating to the relationship with her husband. First they said, well, we'll believe it, and then they concluded, no, we won't. So now we're going to have some scenarios where there is external proof, but it's not proof positive.
Okay.
And whether or not now does that swing the pendulum
Okay.
to
believe her or
even
not.
though with no proof. In other words, how much proof do you need?
Okay.
And that's going to be a machlokes between where Rav is going to say, well, it's not good enough proof. Then we're going to give him proof he would
Well,
want.
we'll
and
see.
That's not proof either.
Okay. All right. So we're now 3 lines from the bottom. Sadi Aleph, 3 lines from the bottom of the Amud. Hahi Itita, there was a certain woman, the Chol Yoma de Tashmish, that any morning that she had relations with her husband, and I put in here, okay, with her husband, okay, what does she do? Makdiman, she gets up, she precedes him in the morning to get up, Masiya de Legavra, and she washes his hands in the morning, okay? Yom Chad, one day, Achele Maya Lemamsa. One day she came and brought him water to wash his hands. Okay, with the assumption, of course, being that she had relations the night before. Okay, Amarla. And he says to her, okay, Hada Milta, Lo Havat Ha'idna. This thing, this act, okay, we didn't do it last night. Okay. Okay.
I thought it was you.
That's what she's going to say.
Amrale. So that's case, precisely. Avi. Amrale, she says to him, okay, what happens? Imkain chad min nachrim ahalayim dahava hacha ha'idna. If that's the case, then it must have been one of those perfume or aloe merchants. Okay, I don't know. Okay, okay. Amra imkain chad min nachrim. Nachrim could be non-Jews, could be strangers. Okay, one of those other gentlemen. Okay, Dahava Hacha Ha'idna, that was here, that was in the vicinity during the night.
So she knows whether her husband could shoot straight, but she doesn't know whether it's a good.
No, it's a different situation. Different situation. Okay, okay. Okay, all right.
feel like I'm in sixth grade. I'm forward to what's going to be the
You know, the
next.
gang.
All right, okay. So notice, Avi, ant lo, if not you, the husband, Dilma minhan, maybe it was one of them. Okay, all right. Amar Rav Nachman, says Rav Nachman as follows. Ena natna be'achad. Rav Nachman says, maybe she had her eye on one of these other fellas.
On another Jewish man.
Anyway, she had her eye on another man. Okay. Valit ba mashasha b'mila. Okay. And there really is nothing of value in her remarks. It's not for real. Maybe she's only lying. Okay. So that's the question. In other words, we're going to, therefore, you don't believe her. And in that situation, he can proceed to live with her. Okay. Second scenario. Okay. This is a whole series of, okay. Second situation. Okay. Wait till you see this one. At least that first one was a very clear, pardon the expression, misconception.
Excuse me, the Gemara doesn't say.
Okay. 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 All right. Hahi itita, another situation with a woman. Delo hava bedicha da'ata bahade gavra. Okay. Art School translated this as she wasn't in good humor with her husband. Okay. She was annoyed with him, she was unhappy with him, she was angry with him, whatever.
Not unusual
Amala. Okay. So he says to her, Ha'idna, Ma'ishana. Today, so what's different is today from any other day? Amra le, she says to him, Me'alam lo tza'atan b'derech eretz, ki ha'idna. Okay, so now the implication is, before there was never any pain for me when we had relations as there were last night. Okay. Amarla, he responds to her, lo hava hada milta ha'idna. Okay, we did not have any cohabitation last night. Okay. Amrale, she says back to him, Imkain halin nachrim naftuyai dahavu hacha'idna. Okay. Oh, she says, then it could have been one of those naphtha merchants. Okay. That Gentile naphtha merchants that was around staying in the area last night. Okay. Anat lo. Okay. You would think, right? Okay. What happens? If not you, Dilma Chad Minho. Perhaps then it was one of them. Okay. Now we go to Rav Nachman again. Okay. Notice, interestingly enough, that it's the same sage that gets asked the Shiloh. Okay. Okay. Amar. Okay. Now notice, interesting lashon here, Amar laho, as opposed to Amar lo lay or Amar la. Okay. Rav. So now he's doing marriage counseling in this situation. Okay. Right. Rav Nachman, lo tashkichun ba. Don't pay any attention to her. No tenet einea be'echad have. She simply had her eye on somebody else. Okay. Right. Now. Okay. So again, perhaps she was lying, looking for a divorce. Okay. All right. As we continue. All right. Had we? Okay. That's a good question. Obvious question. Why would you want to stay married to her? Okay. Let's see. Avi, the devil that you know is better than the devil that you don't know.
That's not a fact. There are many cases
Right.
where one spouse wants out and the other
Does,
doesn't.
right?
And that's why there's such things as marriage.
Right. Believe me, I know. Okay, I used to do some of that too.
Oh, well, qualification.
Marriage counseling, yeah. Hahu Gavra Dahava Maharazek Babeta Hu Ve'intita. Okay, now we get a slightly different situation. There was a certain man who's, I'm going to use the word secluded. Okay, all right, in the house, okay, and with a married woman. Okay, al ata mare de beta. Then along came the, I'll use the word master of the home. Okay, and along came her husband. Okay, what happened? Parte noef lechutza va'arak. Okay, the potential adulterer, all right, realized what was happening, and he fled, breaking through a flimsy wall of palm fronds, and the window, whatever, and the husband they saw him leaving, okay, fleeing. Amar Rava. Now we're back to Rava again, that remember from before the discussion. Okay. Ve'itata shaya. He says, and your wife is permitted to. Okay. Im ita da avad isura. Were it such that they had committed a prohibited act. Archuse hava marchis. Okay. He would have clearly hidden himself. Okay. Rather, but here he was clearly seen fleeing. Well, we don't know. Okay.
Hidden under the bed or behind the curtain.
Right. So what happens? Okay. So in other words, so therefore in other words, Rava is saying that would, for him, that would be proof enough that even though he came to the house, they did not do any.
So is the implication that the couple might have been raped?
No,
At least coercion?
no.
No, the interesting question is if they were fooling around, he would have hidden, he wouldn't have let himself be seen getting away.
Right.
Why is that?
That's what it says.
That's what the mercy is.
Okay, no, in other words, because having been seen, the husband would know who he is and would have then proceeded and
The
whatever.
point here is that although the proof is pretty solid, Rava gives her the benefit.
He gives her the in other words, he's implying that it was before any act could have been done. That's the point. Okay. Another situation.
What's the logic of that?
The logic is that since the man fled,
Yeah.
okay, and he allowed himself to be seen, okay, the implication is that it was before any act could have been
Allow
done.
himself to be seen.
Well, he was fleeing, the husband saw him, if he crashes through a wall, okay, breaks through a window, okay, that's gonna cause enough of a ruckus, right? Okay. Another situation,
And it's now the opposite, mamish the
okay,
opposite.
so now we're gonna see another scenario, okay? Hahu no'ef, da'al legabe dahahi intita. We have another situation where a potential adulterer comes to to a home where there's a married woman. Okay, ata gavra, along comes the husband, right? Salik noef itiv bikal e baba. Okay, and the adulterer, potential adulterer, what does he do? He hides himself behind the curtain of a doorway. Okay, a gate, a doorway, all right? And at that point, right? Hava machtan tchile taman, right? V'ta'amunin kavya. Okay, and there were some cress or some foodstuffs there that were lying out, and he saw that a snake had been nibbling on these items. Okay, and it's very possible that it was a venomous snake. Okay,
It would have poisoned the food.
that's
Right,
his
and-
concern.
And the food would poison it.
Right. So what happens? Ba mare de beta lemechal menhinhu tachle below da'ata de intata. And the master of the house, the husband, wanted to eat from this cress, this foodstuff, okay, without the knowledge of his wife. Okay, Gemara goes on. Amar le hahu noef, the potential adulterer hiding behind the curtain, okay, sees this and let's give him the dan l'zuchus here. He shouts out to the husband, Lo tichol minhon de ta'aminun chavya. Don't eat that cress, that stuff, because a snake, a venomous snake, was nibbling on it. Therefore, it's poison and could kill you.
Ethical adulterer.
Okay,
An adulterer he is, a murderer he is.
right, yes,
Yeah.
okay,
They're one and the same.
all right, right,
One and the same.
all right. So, by the way, somebody, knock on the rabbi's door. Okay, tell him we're getting ready to finish okay, Rabbi Yasker, if he's there, this way, he'll come in and he'll hear the end. Okay?
How come the good stories are at the end?
That's why I suggested that all of these stories editorially, okay, since they deal with potential situations of adultery, that's why we've had discussion of Nazir earlier, references. Now we've got discussions of this. Okay? All right. So as we finish up, Amar Rava, says Rava as follows. Intate Sharia. So in this case, Rava also is permitting the wife to the husband. Why? Okay, remember it's still Rava who has said,
If he hides,
okay, he claims, what kind of proof can there be in order to permit her?
then
Im ita da'avad isura, had it been that they had committed a prohibitive act, right? Nechale dilichol limot. It would have been easy for him to allow the husband to eat the cress and to die. Dichtiv, why? Because it's written, Ki na'afu v'dam b'yadeihem. Those who commit adultery, blood is on their hands. Pshita, that's obvious, says the Gemara. Mahu detema. What then do you want to tell us with this? Isura avad. That if they committed the prohibited act, right? V'hai de amarle de nechale de lo limot ba. And here, that his argument, Rava's argument, that it would have been easy for him to allow the husband to die, okay, right? We might then, because he could have allowed the husband to die, afterwards the Shiva, he could have married the woman himself.
Unless he really didn't like her.
Well, no, why? Because the Gemara is going to suggest a different reason. Why might that have been the case? Why did he allow the husband to live, right? The dahave intate aluye. Why? Because in regards to this particular woman, we may have thought the following, a different pasuk, right? Mayim genuvim yimtaku velechem starim yin'em. Okay, that stolen waters are sweet and bread that's hidden is pleasant. In other words, the implication is forbidden fruits are the sweetest. Okay? In other words, that, okay, that would have been part, we could argue maybe that could have been the thinking, but apparently Rava did not hold by that situation. Okay, Kamash Malan comes to teach us then that Rava does not accept that as an argument, okay, and therefore nevertheless felt that since no Isur, no clear prohibition was done, okay, therefore, all right, it is permitted, she's permitted. Alan, a quick question.
Gemara is going to say that. And the Noah said to himself, I can throw suspicion off myself by calling out to him. And therefore, they're going to assume that I didn't do anything.
Yeah, and better to only be a Noah than to be a Rotseach. That's
The point is.
Yeah.
That Rava is looking to
Fine.
find.
To be permitted, right? Okay. Hadrana lach velu nedarim slikalon masech nedarim. Amarty, where are you? You ready? I'm going to continue and then you'll pick up the Kaddish, all right? Hadrana lach masech nedarim v'hadrana lach dat tachalach masech nedarim. V'dat tachalan lo nashim menach masech nedarim v'lo nasim menan lo ba'al mahadim v'lo ba'al mada'ate. Okay? Say that 3 times. Oh, go on. Okay. Yehirat somil fanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'le'yavatenu. Shetei toratcha v'emunotenu b'olam hazeh v'tei imanu l'olam haba. Chanina bar Papa, Rami bar Papa, Nachman bar Papa, Achai bar Papa, Abba Mari bar Papa, Rafram bar Papa, Rachish bar Papa, Surcha bar Papa, Rada bar Papa, Daru bar Papa. Yehirat somil fanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'le'yavatenu. Shetei toratcha v'emunotenu b'olam hazeh v'tei imanu l'olam haba. Chanina bar Papa, Rami bar Papa, Nachman bar Papa, Achai bar Papa, Abba Mari bar Papa, Rafram bar Papa, Rachish bar Papa, Surcha bar Papa, Ada bar Papa, Daru bar Papa. Yehirat somil fanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'le'yavatenu. Shetei toratcha v'emunotenu b'olam hazeh v'tei imanu l'olam haba. Chanina bar Papa, Rami bar Papa, Nachman bar Papa, Achai bar Papa, Abba Mari bar Papa, Rafram bar Papa, Rachish bar Papa, Surcha bar Papa, Ada bar Papa, Daru bar Papa. Harevna Adonai Eloheinu et divrei Toratcha b'finu b'fiot amcha Beit Yisrael. V'niyeh anachnu v'tze'atze'enu. V'tze'atze'ei amcha Beit Yisrael kolanu yodei shemecha v'lomdei Toratcha. Mi'oivai techakmeni mitzvotecha ki li'olam hi li bi tamim b'chukecha laman lo evosh. La'olam lo eshkach b'kudecha ki bam chaitani. Baruch at Adonai lamdeini chukecha. Amen, amen, amen. Sela olam va'ed. Modeh אני לפניך אדוני אלוהינו, ששמת חלקנו מיושבי בית המדרש, ולא שמת חלקנו מיושבי קרנות, שאנחנו משכימים, והם משכימים. אנו משכימים לדברי תורה, והם משכימים לדברים בטלים. אנו עמלים, והם עמלים. אנו עמלים ומקבלים שכר, והם עמלים ואינם מקבלים שכר. אנו רצים, והם רצים. אנו רצים לחיי העולם הבא, והם רצים לבאר שחת, שנאמר, ואתה אלוהים תורידם לבאר שחת, אנשי דמים ומרמה, לא יחצו ימיהם ואני אבטח בה. יהי רצון לפניך אדוני אלוהינו, ולשם שעזרתנו לסיים מסכת נדרים, כן תעזרנו להתחיל מסכתות ספרים אחרים, לסיימם ללמוד וללמד, לשמור לעשות, לקיים את כל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה, זכות כל התנאים והאמורים, ותלמידי חכמים, תעמוד לנו ולזרענו, שלא תמושו התורה מפינו ומפי זרע זרענו, וכי זרע זרענו עד עולם, ותקיים בנו מלאכתך תנחה אותך, ושכבך תשמור עליך, והקיצות תשיחך, בי ירבו ימיך, ויוסיפו לך שנות חיים, אורך ימים בימינה ושמאלה ואושר בכבוד. Adonai oz la'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Rabbanan Tad.
Amen.
Oh my
Grateful.
custom is to start the next Mishnah immediately after completing the previous. The next Masechta is a Nazir.
Anyone
We learned
needs,
in the,
anyone
oh,
needs a
we have
Nazir,
this,
let me
we
know.
have Mishnayos we can pass out. The first Mishnah in Nedarim mentioned 4 kinds of neder. The second one, the third one there was Nazir. And therefore, at this point, we're picking up Nazir. Just the concept of Nazirus is extremely complex. The behavior of a Nazir is significantly constrained. And there is a very long but very meaningful introduction. If you have an art scroll, I suggest strongly you read it. The one concept there that I'm going to talk about is the most obvious outward manifestation of Nazirus is that you have to let your hair grow long. You're not allowed to shave or trim your hair. So we're going to discuss several cases in the Mishnah where a person makes a hair-related statement and gestures to his hair, and contextually, we have to decide whether that's a statement of Nazirus. Now remember, if you make a neder in your mind, if you have an intent in your mind, it's meaningless unless you express it in a way that the persons hearing you know what you're trying to say. So you have to add context to the words of the Mishnah for it to make any sense. So we're going to start the Mishnah exactly as we did starting the previous Mishnah, called Kinuye Naziros Naziros. You make a statement that is a variant of I'm going to be a Nazir. It's exactly the same if people understand you, it's making the statement that I will be a Nazir. Now, how far does that go? Remember in the first Mishnah of Nedarim, we talked about yomi, statements that are not exactly making a neder, but the connotation brings you to the fact that he made a neder. So if a known Nazir walks by and you gesture to him and you say, Omer, oh, hey, I want to be like him. So the fact that you gestured to the known Nazir, Ares a Nazir, that would make you a Nazir. That's the most pared down form of Yad. Okay, now, I want to be gorgeous or very handsome. So the concept is, I mean, you look at the rock stars, right? They have long flowing hair and the girls all go nuts. So that is a simon. If you say, I want to be gorgeous, and you gesture to your head that you're saying, I want to look like a rock star, meaning I want to be a nazir. Okay, nazir, and it works. Okay, now, nazir, naziach, haziach, these are kinuyim, like we had a series of kinuyim for nidarim. Hare zen nazir, you become a nazir. Now, if you say, hareini kozeh, I want to be like this. And again, you make a gesture showing you want to have long hair. Or you say, hareini misalse. Now, the art school, I don't think translates that because the Gemara is going to have an argument what misalse means. We actually learned this earlier where somebody used the word misalse and the servant girl, the shikfa of Rebbe, said, I know what misalse means. It means curl your hair. So if you go like this, I want to be misalse, and you go like this, and unless you're a chassid, you mean that you want to be a nazir, you're curling your hair. Okay? Or hareini mechalkel. Now mechalkel means a depilatory. So again, it's a hair-related term. And even though mechalkel means to remove hair, if the guy is gesturing and it's in a context you're discussing nazirus, it's considered close enough to be hair-related that you would be making yourself a nazir. Okay? Hare olai shaleach pera. Or you say, behold, I'm going to let my hair grow long. Those are all cases, Hare zen nazir, he becomes a nazir. Now, in all those cases, though we might remember that the context and the way words were used is how the Mishnah discusses. Today, if you go like this, it's probably because you're using Rogaine, and I wouldn't accuse you of becoming a nazir. Now, those where everybody agreed. Now, what if a guy says, Hare light Sikurim, I'm taking upon myself birds. Now, Reb Meir and the Chachamim are going to have an argument. And in the Gemara, they're going to be bringing two rationales for Reb Meir saying being like birds is grounds to say he's a nazir. The first position the Gemara is going to bring is there's a pasuk that has both the word hair and the word feather in it. So again, it's according to Reb Meir, close enough that you're indicating you want your hair to be long. Okay, the second view, Reb Yeshua in the Gemara, is going to say, no, it's a much more direct thing. When a nazir is mitame to a mace, one of the rules, a nazir can't go to a funeral, he can't be in a room with a dead body, and if he is, there's a cleanliness ritual which follows. So a person's a nazir, never, he's sitting in shul and somebody dies. So every kohanim will run out and he runs out, but he's now tameh. So one of the processes by which he removes tumah from himself is he brings two birds as korbanos. So that's an alternate why this is directly related to Nazirus. Rabbi Meir, Omer Nazir. Rabbi Meir says both of those cases, it's good enough. Everybody knows from context that the guy wants to be a Nazir. V'chachamim oimrim, eino Nazir. It's not close enough, and he's not a Nazir. And that's the first mission. What? Because you don't know if someone drinks wine or not by looking at it. But if a yid walks around with long hair, you know he's got either a hippie or a nut. No, that was, I don't know, but I would assume your doctor could tell you can't drink alcohol. So you say, I'm taking a pledge, I'm not going to drink wine. That doesn't necessarily mean. But growing your hair is much more definitive. No, there's no other reason for it, because if you have more hair, you take,